Jones Lang LaSalle became JLL. Was that a big change for the organisation?
Not enormous, but we were colloquially known as JLL, so it was a natural enough change. But like everything else, when you have to change your brand, we had to address all those issues. But it's been a bit of fun. We had a bit of fun out of it. We got a few jeans days out of it. We did videos, and we've rebranded now. It's going to take us still another 1 to 2 years, I think, before people really understand what the brand actually means from a JLL perspective, because we've been around in Ireland for 50 years, so people knew us as Jones Lang Wootton, they knew us as Jones Lang LaSalle, now it's JLL, so but it's going well.
Okay, so it's interesting you just say there we got jeans out of it, and people might go, what's that all about? So in terms of trying to live that new brand, the JLL, with regard to your recognition, you linked it in with your recognition and you put J for jeans, or talk to us about that.
Yeah, what we like to do is have a bit of fun around these things. There's no point in them being all sort of corporate, and so there's plenty of people in this organisation who like giving to charity, so we adopt a number of charitable causes at the beginning of the year, and then anything like a relaunch, a brand, when we do well in the Great Place to Work, we do something around that. So jeans days are actually the most popular thing in the office for some reason, even though we have casual day on a Friday, but we don't allow anybody to wear jeans. So it's a bit of a dichotomy from that perspective. So look, so people come in, there's jeans, there's normally a bit of food, there's normally a bit of fun, and we raise a bit of money for charity at the same time. It just marks it, and it just helps foster a culture of a bit of fun, because we all work hard and a bit of fun is not a bad thing.
So that's the J, then there's the 2 L's. So L for, what is it, leaving early, or?
L for leaving early is, we operate and we're starting to grow this as a thing where we have, some of the managers here now have been armed with what we call a recognition toolbox. Okay. The toolbox feeds into a recognition drawer where when somebody goes an extra mile, they get nominated, and there's a variety of things that you can give to them. They can be material or they can be soft things. So if we have somebody who's worked extremely hard on a particular project and they've been missing home or whatever else, we'll just send them home early, we'll let them go home early. We do that type of stuff all the time. So it doesn't always have to be money, which is the important thing, because you can reward people materially as long as you want, but in reality, time off, bottle of wine, sending somebody to dinner with their missus or whatever it is, can be equally as probably more beneficial in a lot of cases if it means you've thought about it.
And just linking in with the JLL, the last L being a long lunch. You probably get him all the time, do you?
No, I don't. We all work for lunch, actually.
Okay. So JLL, when I looked just corporately, globally, I see that it's one of the most ethical companies in the world. Talk to us about sort of ethics and how that plays a part.
Ethics is enormously important to us. We pride ourselves on being a highly professional brand. We deliver high-level services to a lot of the corporates in this country, a lot of government people. We deliver also to lots of institutions, lots of banks, lots of financial services companies. So we're at the high end of professional property advice. Therefore, everything that we do has to be highly ethical. We're known and renowned for giving honest, impartial advice. We don't tell people what they need to hear, which is really, really important for us. We call it the way we see it, and that is imbued right throughout the organisation, both globally and at country level. It's massively important. Anybody who comes into this organisation, it might sound a bit silly, one of the first things they sign up to is a code of ethics, which tells them to an extent how they have to behave. So everything we do has to be beyond reproach, and we live that on a daily basis. And if we see behaviour that is not matching with what our corporate goals and objectives are, we'll intervene and deal with it accordingly, because vitally important, and we like to be called a trusted advisor. Okay. And if you don't have people's trust, confidentiality in real estate is extremely important. We're known for not spilling the beans. If we're told to keep something confidential, we keep it confidential. Real estate can be open to being manipulated. So when we run bidding processes, they're above board. People know that they get treated fairly and with integrity, and that is one of our biggest selling points. If I'm pitching for a piece of business, one of the things that I can say to anybody that we're pitching to, we do a lot of work for NAMA, for example, is that they know that the process will be run impeccably, it'll be run clean, there'll be no messing, and then there's no comeback from anybody at the end of it.
So trust and ethics are crucial. How do you assess when you're recruiting people that they have those things naturally?
We recruit both from the colleges, and we also then recruit from industry as well, and we headhunt and poach people. We use all the things that are available to you. It is the paramount thing that we look for in somebody is integrity and honesty. We do that by a fairly rigorous interview process. We'll ask fairly probing questions. We'll almost ask people, it might sound a little bit silly, but would you take a bribe?
Yeah.
Which is an issue in the industry. They're obviously all going to say no, but you'll know by reading their body language and otherwise as to how you can actually find out whether they really believe in what we're attempting to achieve. We're fortunate, unlike most of our competitors, we don't offer a commission-based remuneration system, which fosters a bit more teamwork, fosters a bit more honesty and a bit more integrity, because everybody is part of a team rather than the individual. The individual, to a certain extent, doesn't count here. It's the team that's the most important thing.
And so for a lot of people, sort of trust is kind of, nice to have, but you're saying, I mean, what is your view of trust, and do people fully understand what drives trust?
I think people do, certainly I hope they do in this organisation, because trust is of paramount importance to us. It's an old adage, you walk the talk, and if we say something, if I as the MD of the company say something, I follow through on it, I communicate about it, I feed back on it. So I make mistakes, everybody makes mistakes, and you hold your hand up if you make a mistake. You don't sweep it under the carpet and say, I got that one wrong. You don't try to deliberately get it wrong. But I think therefore when I say something, I think people actually genuinely believe what we're actually trying to say, and we communicate our goals. So we have a common aim. We're not just all a bunch of individuals running around the place trying to achieve individually. I said the goal is to be a successful business, and people know what role they play in that, and it doesn't really matter. In our organisation is populated primarily by property professionals, but we have lots of people in the organisation who are non-property as well. And there's always a tendency in our sort of business that the property professionals all get really well looked after. They're the guys who are generating the fees and whatever else. It's really important that everybody else in the business, whether it be the office manager, whether it be the secretaries or otherwise, that they all have a common goal and that they all feed into it. And communication is the key for trust, is saying it time and time and time again. This is what we're attempting to achieve, and then telling people how we're progressing on that is very, very important to us as well. So
50 years in Ireland, how did you celebrate?
Celebrated in a number of ways. We had a big client reception at the end of November in the Royal Hibernian Academy, which we had over 400 people at, which was where we ran a video. We're very fond of videos in this organisation, as you know. But we had a video of JLL's involvement in the Dublin property market over a 50-year period, which sort of brought us from Fitzwilliam Square or Fitzwilliam Place, where we started, right through up into past the IFSC and various other well-known landmarks. So we were able to sort of say, this is our involvement and how we played our small little part in making the city what it is today. Staff were more important, so they were very well looked after this year. Okay. We had a big bash in June where we invited partners as well. We didn't want it just to be about the staff as well, so everybody was allowed to bring their wife, their girlfriend, their boyfriend or whatever with them, and that was held down in the Westin, which was a great night. It was good fun. And then we splashed out on our Christmas party, so we brought them overnight this year as well, and that was deliberately done to celebrate 50 years. So that's outside the norm, outside the budget.
So 2015, new HQ. Obviously, you let the employees decide where you're going to locate.
So we're a democratic organisation, but not that democratic.
Okay.
The choice of our location is driven by business need. The most important thing to us, and it's probably important because workplace, being in the property business, it's massively important to us. It's a showcase for us. If we have services where we lease offices, we acquire offices, we manage fit outs. So if we can't prove that we can do that in our own business, we're not showcasing ourselves very well. So what we needed was a single floor plate to accommodate roughly 100 people. The choice of location needed to be in the city centre. And then it was by necessity rather than by sort of saying to everybody in the office, where would you like to be? It's where can the business actually function the best. That's not saying that we don't want to take their feedback, and there will be lots of feedback as we go to design the offices. There are groups set up to comment on the information technology, to comment on the choice of furniture, to comment on the layouts. We've also run programs with everyone to get their feedback as to what they would like to see in the office. So a big bugbear in our business has been the lack of showers in our building. There'll be 2 new showers in the new building, so that hopefully will please a number of people who've been asking for that for the last 25 years.
Good.
The workplace, we think, is really, really important to us to allow us to continue to grow our culture as well, because we want to foster as much collaborativeness as possible. So we're designing it in a different way. We're open plan at the moment. We'll remain open plan, but we'll have more meeting rooms, more collaboration areas, more breakout areas, more areas for people to meet and greet, to foster cross-departmentalisation so people can share ideas and listen to what other people are doing, because property, it revolves around information.
Okay. Two final questions. You made a video. You like video, as you say. But you gave us in the culture audit one video one year and then a very different video this year. What was the difference there?
We gave artistic license to our group that the way that we like to run our Great Place to Work experience is we pull together a group of people at the beginning of the year which represent grades across the business. There's no directors involved, so there's no line managers per se involved, so it runs from associate director all the way down to graduate surveyors, involves admin people and everything else. We designate that group and we say, right, you're responsible for our entry and our efforts with regards to Great Place to Work. They report to a small managerial committee and tell us what they're doing and give us feedback which we can act on from what they're doing with their own people. They consult with everybody around the organisation. What would we like, what would we not like, what things can we do better, what things should we stay doing, what things should we stop doing. So we gave these guys artistic license. We don't have any editorial control over what they did, and they said, we want to take it up a level from the previous year. So they went off, and I think they produced a fantastic video. They managed to embarrass me anyway, which is, but that's easily done. And it's lively, and it's a sense of fun. And the day that we made it was absolutely great crack. We had great fun. We were all running around. The place was absolutely buzzing, which is what you want it to be.
Wonderful. So, last question. You've been a great workplace. You were number one, but just the whole idea of it's important to just be accredited as a great workplace. But the tougher thing is staying and sustaining and reinventing. And so to organisations who've been in the process quite a while, how do you keep that energy going? And to people who are just maybe joining, who are unsure of it, what advice would you give?
As I said before, we're a highly competitive organisation, so we like to... Great Place to Work for us has been hugely important. It's helped us retain staff, it's helped us build more loyal staff, it's helped us recruitment-wise, but most importantly, it's helped us generate a culture within the organisation that is team-orientated. When we entered it, we didn't have a clue what we were doing. So we said to ourselves, how can we actually make the place better? And in fairness to you guys, we've had a huge amount of assistance along the way, and we've learned from you and we've learned from other companies that have been involved in the process. If somebody's starting off on the journey, what I would say to them is take small steps first. You're not going to change it overnight. I remember there's a legal firm, I won't name them, who came to me and said, oh, you've done really well in this, what should we do? And basically sort of hand us over everything that you've done. And I said, decide what you want to achieve and then take small stepping stones to actually go ahead and achieving it. And it takes a bit of time. There's a bit of pain involved. It wasn't that easy. We didn't like some of the things that we heard, but it's not all about liking what you hear. It's about actually acting on what are real things to get that culture and staying there. I said it's down to competitiveness, but we see the benefit of it on a daily basis. And you want an organisation, or certainly I want an organisation that is hardworking, loyal, bit of fun. Money doesn't have to be everything. Money's very important to people, but there are lots of other things you can do for people to keep them happy, and that's we've found it an extremely useful tool in that it is our HR toolbox now.